Welcome to Scholarhat YouTube channel. In today's course, you are going to learn about everything about Node.js. So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime which is helping us to run the JavaScript on server side. In this course, you will learn about the Node.js CLI. Then you will learn about modules, callback function, npm CLI, local and global packages, buffers, streams, events, file system and path modules. So these are the fundamental things about the Node.js everyone must know. So if you're going to start your career in a Node.js, so this crash course definitely will help you. If you're coming to the channel first time, I request you to please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.
In this section, we will discuss about Node.js CLI. Node.js CLI stands for command line interface. So it doesn't comes with a GUI. All the commands which we need to run inside Node can be executed via terminal. You can use the normal command prompt, or you can use PowerShell, or you can use any other command line utility which is available. Remember, the first time Node.js was introduced or released, it was for Linux-based system. It was not for Windows. It is the fundamental way of providing input to the computer. So you can also run your scripts using command line with Node, and you can also pass the input to your script. That is also possible. You can pass multiple command line arguments as discussed. Node.js comes with various CLI options which are used for debugging, execute scripts, and other helpful runtime options. We will see all of them. Before we move on to the Node.js command line options, let's see how to install Node.js and how to verify if Node.js is installed on your machine. Nodejs.org, this is the official website for Node.js. Once you visit this website, based on your operating system, it will provide you the latest version which can be installed, as well as the current version which can be installed. If you are creating an application which you need to deploy on production, always go with LTS. And in case you just want to learn about Node.js, you want to do some kind of POC, the current version is the best choice for you. Once you go ahead and download and install Node.js, you can verify the Node.js version installed on your machine by using the first command, which is node-v. In case you need help, or you want to see the different options which are available with Node CLI, you can just run node-h. You can see there are a lot of options. You don't need to remember all of them. Most probably you will be using few of the options which are available here based on your scenario. So you can see there is something for CPU profiler, there is check, completion, abort, and a lot of other options which can help you to figure out if you are getting some error where a stack trace is, or in case I want to just run my Node.js file from my command terminal and I want to pass some options, I can go ahead and do that. So next command which we are going to discuss about is node-e. So what it does, node-e it's similar to eval function which is available in JavaScript. So it will evaluate your JavaScript. So let's go ahead and try to write a simple program. So this is a small program which is written using Node.js. So what I am doing is I have given node with -e option. Then I'm creating a variable let c equals to 2 plus 2 and just doing it a console.log. And you can see the output is available, node which is 4. You can also use the interactive terminal, which is node-ei, and you can write your command, or you can write your code here as well. For example, just let's do console.log, and it gives you undefined. I can also create variables, and I can just keep on writing my entire JavaScript code here and it will work. In case you want to stop this terminal or you want to exit, you can just press Ctrl C twice to come out of the terminal, and this is it. The next command which we are going to discuss about is node-p, which is similar to what we saw. It will also give you an interactive terminal where you can go ahead and write your JavaScript code. Let's see what we get here, and let's do console.log, and we have our data again. Same, in case you want to exit out of this terminal, you can just press Ctrl+C twice. So these are few options. You can also run node with your file name. In case you have any file, you can just pass that option with node and it will execute that file. Let's take an example of that as well. So I'm using Visual Studio Code as my terminal, and I'll be creating one file called index.js, and let's write some function here. So I've written a small program to add two numbers, and let's execute it using command line or nodejs CLI. So I will use the terminal which is provided by VS Code, and I will just do node and my file name index.js, and you can see it executed your program, and we just did a console.log, whatever the output of add function is being written, and we have 25 as an output. So this is how you can go ahead and use nodejs CLI for different options, and the way you want to. If you want to even execute a script, you can go ahead and do that. Hi, and welcome back to this course on Node.js fundamentals. In previous video, we saw how we can use Node.js CLI to run our Node.js programs. In this video, we will learn about something known as NPM. NPM stands for Node Package Manager. It is an online repository of Node packages. There are more than a million packages which are available on NPM, and it can be installed using something known as NPM CLI. In case you are new to Node.js and you already have idea about .NET or Java, you can relate this to NuGet or Maven, from where you can install the packages in .NET and Java respectively. It was released in 2011, and it was used to install the JavaScript libraries or packages which were available at that time, like jQuery, AngularJS, React. Over the year, NPM became the default CLI for Node.js, and we don't need to install it separately anymore. Once you install Node.js, NPM is automatically installed for us. Let's see how we can verify if NPM is installed and which version of NPM is installed on our machine. You can simply open the command prompt and run npm-v to verify the version of NPM which is installed. We can also run npm-help to see different command line options which we can use while using NPM. Here we have two commands to install Angular. NPM supports something known as local packages and global packages. Global packages are something which, once installed, can be executed from anywhere in our system. Local packages, they are just used for a specific project. For example, in case you have already used Angular and you want to relate the global packages and local packages, remember Angular CLI is something which we install it as a global package. So we can create new projects from anywhere within our system. But when we use packages like Angular Material, NGX Bootstrap, we install them into our specific project by using -save or -d flag, which is for save dev. These are the few commands which we can use while using npm install. So let's see npm install first. The most important thing while using npm is a file which is known as package.json. Without package.json, you cannot install the local packages. Let's see how to create the package.json file using npm CLI first. So this is the first command which you will execute whenever you want to use some packages which you want to be installed locally. In most of the frameworks or libraries, the entire setup is already given by some CLI. For example, if I'm using Angular CLI takes care of creating the package.json file for us. If I'm using create React app takes care of creating all the files. The same thing is applied to Vue.js as well, or you can say Vue CLI. Even the frameworks like Nest.js, they also take care of creating the package.json file for us. But in case you want to set up everything manually, this is really handy. You can run this command npm. You can run this command npm init, and it will ask you a few questions which you can enter. So it will ask you to name your package name, and then version, then description, and entry point is the file which will be executed once we run our Node.js program. And we can just leave the other properties as the default one, and now you have package.json file which is created for us. Now we can go ahead and install the local packages. To do that, let's go ahead and utilize npm-i, and let's try to install React. I will also pass. Let's go ahead and run this command npm-i react, and it should install React as a local package for us. And you can see now we have React installed, and this node modules folder contains all the packages which are available locally. When we install a package without specifying any flag, by default it adds the package as a dependencies. This is available after node 8 till node 6. We used to pass a separate flag called -save, so it used to add it as a dependencies. It is not required anymore. In case you want to use that package as a dependencies, you can skip that flag. We also have few other flags. In case I want a package to be installed, I don't want it to be part of dependencies. These are the packages which we can use just for our development purpose. Let's take an example of TypeScript, which will be used only for development purpose, but we will not be using the TypeScript as a package on production. I can pass a flag called -d, which will mark this package as a dev dependency, and it should not be available on production. And now we have two sections, dependencies and dev dependencies respectively. The next command which we have is npm update. Npm update is command which we can use once we have some outdated dependency or the dependencies which are not up to date and we want to update. Then we can use npm update. Npm search is the command line tool to search for any package. In case you don't want to use the command line, you can move to npmjs.com, and you can also search for any packages on this website as well. Choose CLI or npm website, whatever you are comfortable with. The next command which we have is related to npm publish, which we will explore more in upcoming sessions. And the npm version is just to identify the version. We already used it, and if you remember npm -v, which was short for npm version. And these are few of the flags. So we can install npm install -g, which is for global. We can use npm install -p, which is now something known as save prod, and npm install -d, which stands for save dev. These are few commands, but there are many more flags which are available. In case you want to explore all the options, you can refer to this docs.npmjs.com/cli/install if in future you need more options. These are the minimum options by using which you can start using npm, and these are the commands which you will be using most of the time. So this is it from the npm.js. Hi. In this video, we will discuss about something known as local versus global packages. In last video, I gave you an idea how we can install global packages and how we can install local packages. In this video, we will discuss more in detail. Local packages are installed at project level. For example, in this example, we installed React, which is available as a local package for this particular application, and they are installed inside a folder called node_modules. You can see there is a folder for React, and all the packages are available here. Same for TypeScript. TypeScript is also installed as a local package inside this project. In global packages, it is installed at one of the global location, and the path is, you can always go to your users and then you can choose your username. In my case, my username is this, Santosh, and you can look for a folder called app data. In case this folder is not visible, you can just go to settings and click on show hide folders and show all the hidden folders, because this is a system level folder and it is hidden by default. Now I can go to app data and roaming, and I can look for something known as npm, and all the global packages are installed here. So right now I do have a lot of global packages installed here. I can look for TypeScript, okay, Angular CLI, so ng is installed. Even npm is one of the global package which is available here, and lot of different folders for the different packages which we have. So this is like node modules folder for the global packages. In case you don't want the packages to be installed globally, there are a few other options. You can go ahead and use something known as node virtual environment, or we typically call it as NVM, which is available for Linux, which is not available for Windows as of now. In Windows, you can go ahead and install it locally or globally. It's up to you, your choice. Every package, global or local, has its version defined. If I go to this dependencies, React is 16.12.0. So current version installed for us is 16.12.0. By default, npm CLI will always install the latest version which is available on npm. In case you want a specific version to be installed, you can go ahead and define the version while installing the package. For example, let me just install React with 16.8.0, and you can see now we have 16.8.0 as a version which is available. So this is it for global packages and local packages in npm CLI. Next, we will see how we can uninstall a package and how we can update a package. In this video, we will see how we can update or uninstall a package. We already know how to install a package by using npm install, and we can also install a specific version by using @ and the version number of the package. To uninstall a package, we can use the command, or let's first do npm update and then we will see how to uninstall it. To update a package, we can say npm update. If the packages are not updated, this command will verify if there is some difference in the latest package which is available on npm and the latest package which we have installed. So right now the 16.12.0 was the latest version, and we had 16.8.0 which was the older one. So now we are updated to 16.12.0. In case we want to uninstall a package, we can use uninstall and package name. For example, let me just uninstall TypeScript. This command will remove the TypeScript from dev dependencies, as well as it will delete the folder which was added inside node_modules. So if I refresh it now, you can see the TypeScript is not available anymore. Also, let's discuss one more thing in this video, which is about this package.json file. We have few properties, the minimum properties which are available, and let's see them one by one and why they are important. The first property in your package.json is name. In case you are planning to deploy or publish your package on npm or any artifactory, maybe Git or maybe Azure, this will be the name of your package which will be published on npm. The version number is really important. This will help you to track how many versions of your package is available, and with every release you can update the version based on the changes. For example, this is the version number uses the same word, which is like semantic versioning. The first number is here is your major release. So in case you are doing a major release, you will always update this number. The next number is for your minor releases, and the last one is bug fixes or patch. You can add a description for your package by using description property. Main is this main file which will be executed once you run your or do npm start from your command prompt. So index.js will be the file which will be executed. Script section is where you can add multiple scripts. For example, if I want to run this particular package, how to do that? Mostly we use npm start. If I want to build it, how I can do that using build command? Then I can use or add few more commands for running my test cases. It can be unit test case using jest or karma, or it can be an end-to-end test case using protector, or I can use any other tool like Cypress.io. In author section, you can provide who is the author of this particular package. You can give your name with email ID. License, you can define what kind of license this particular project falls into. In case it is open source, you can make it MIT. Dependencies, as discussed, all the packages which will be part of your production build are dependencies, and dev dependencies, the packages which will not be part of your production build, are dev dependencies. So this is it from the npm.js or npm CLI. Next, we will discuss something about modules. Hi, welcome back to this course on Node.js fundamentals. In this video, we will discuss about modules. A Node.js module, or you can simply call it as a JavaScript module, is a collection of JavaScript code which is exposed to outside world as a single unit of code. In case you are coming from .NET background, you can relate this to your namespace. In case I want to access anything from this particular module, I'll be able to do that using the module name, or you can simply say the JavaScript module. In Node.js, we use require method to load any JavaScript modules. Let's see a small example how we can define a module. We will create a simple calculator class. So you can see right now what we have is a simple function which is nothing but an add function which returns the addition of two numbers. By using module.exports, we can expose all the methods available inside this module to the outside world. Now in index.js, we can use require keyword to access all the methods, all the properties available within calculator module. We are just calling calculator.add to add two numbers. Now to run this file, I can simply say node index.js and it will print the output. So this is how you can use. We will of course go through coming modules. We will go in more details how exports works, how require works. This is just a small example how actually modules are created in Node.js. This is just for introduction, not a complete in-depth video on modules. Anyways, we are going to see in one of the course where we will create a Node.js package, we will update, we'll upload this on npm and we will install it from npm. This is just a small introduction. Node.js offers few core modules which are part of the core APIs. You can call it as you can also call it as a core API of npm. So we have buffer, console, crypto, we have a file system, you have HTTP. This is similar to in case you have worked on .NET or Java. In .NET or Java, we have multiple namespaces and they have their own classes which we can use. For example, if I want to work with HTTP in .NET, we have some dedicated namespace available. Similar to that, in Node.js also we have an HTTP module by using which we can create an HTTP server. We have file system by using which we can read, write files. We also have buffer. So if you want to write some data into buffer and expose it, that is also possible. We have path to access different paths or different file system in your machine. or on your workspace, that is also possible. You have OS as module available, so you can go ahead and see what are the different OS level operations which can be performed, and many more. So these are all core modules which we have. This is it from modules. We will of course deep dive more into the modules in future videos, give you a small overview. Next, what we will do is we will go ahead and discuss about each module in detail, and we are talking about core modules. We are still not creating our own module. Hello everyone, welcome back to this course on Node.js fundamentals. In this video, we will learn about buffer class, which is available in Node.js. Buffer class was introduced in Node.js to work with streams of data. So you can see if we go by the definition, what we mean by buffer is a temporary storage for chunk of data that is transferred from source to destination. What we can do using buffer is if in case we want to read or write a stream of data, or even we want to modify those, we can use buffer to achieve the same. It can be used to transfer small chunks of data at a time. Buffer is a Node.js data type to work with binary data. So if you are using file object, if you are using FS, which is file system object, which is available, or you can say file system module, which is available with Node.js, the file system object returns a buffer, which you will save it in a buffer, and then you can go ahead and read that particular file. Buffer actually acts like an array of integers, but it cannot be resized. So if I have defined a buffer with storage of 10 records, I cannot modify it later on. So this diagram actually gives us an idea what we mean by buffer. So this particular file is nothing but our source. Then using buffer, we are transferring small chunks of data, which is nothing but binary objects, and it will be transferred over the network. So let's see how we can actually create a buffer, and what is the characteristics of a buffer before we move into creating our own buffer object. The max buffer limit is 2 GB. Initially, when buffer class was created back in 2011, it was 1 GB. Now it is 2 GB. Buffer data is actually displayed in hexadecimal format by default, where each digit represents 4 bits. So hence each pair of hexadecimal represents an octet. So we'll see that soon. Buffer length is specified in bytes. You can give 1 byte, which is 8 bits. And 1 byte is enough to hold 1 letter with within range of 0 to 255 ASCII characters. And similarly, 2 bytes for Arabic, 3 bytes for multilingual characters like mathematics, music, and 4 bytes for all Unicode characters. So let's see how to create a buffer. I'm referring to the latest Node.js release, which is 13+. There are few changes. In case you have used buffer with Node.js 8, there was another buffer class which was available, and you can simply say new buffer and you will be able to create a new buffer. But now after Node.js 8.x onwards, it is changed. Now the buffer method is deprecated. So let's see an example. Here, if I am using Node.js 8 and below, I can create a buffer equals like this, new buffer. And this was the syntax prior to Node.js 8.x. Now you have to use, there are several methods to create a buffer. So one is new buffer.from. So we can use from method to create a buffer. We can use from with string. This example, this is a sample data, and then encoding. We'll see what are the different types of encoding which we have, and by default it is UTF-8. Then we also have buffer.alloc where we can provide the size, which is nothing but this example, and the last is buffer.from, where we can also provide a buffer. So you can see this is something which I am using array object to from method, and these are the multiple ways. So let's go ahead and actually run this program, and we will discuss one by one what is happening. So I'll say node index.js, and at very first line we are getting an error. Now it says error invalid argument type. Remember, this was deprecated and we cannot use it anymore with Node.js 13.x. And now let's run the another code. So let's go ahead and run this code now, and we'll say node index.js, and let's discuss about the output one by one. So in first line, where we are defining const buffer equals to buffer.allocate, we are actually creating a buffer with size 10, and this is something which you can do, which you can see here. These are nothing but your binary data 0000, and you can see there are 10 objects which are available, and as discussed, by default it is an array. So for that, let's see another example where we are defining a buffer with size 10 and default value as 1. The first I am printing the buffer value as it is, and then we are using for loop on top of buffer1 to see what we get. So you can see the 1 is printed 10 times. Similarly, I can use from method to pass an array and create a buffer. I'm again using for loop to print all the values which is available inside the buffer, and at the end I'm using buffer.from method where the first parameter is string and the second parameter is encoding type. If I remove this encoding type, the default value is UTF-8. So you have to define UTF-8, and let's see. So in this example where we are passing the first parameter as string and then second is binary, so we are getting the binary data. In case we want it to be converted to string, we can just pass toString method, and you'll be able to see the sample data. We can also skip, we can also pass some format here as well. For example, if I want to convert it to ASCII, in case we have any character, ASCII characters, it will be converted to its equivalent. So this is how it works. This is how you can use buffer object and the different methods. There is an ASCII table which is given here. What will be the values in decimal and what will be the hexa, octa and character formats. We can use, as discussed, these are the different methods which are available. We can use UTF-8 as we already saw. We can also use base64, which I don't think so will make any impact here, but okay. So now it is converted to base64, which is we can actually use as a key, and then we can actually convert this back to any other format which you want. We can also convert it to hexa. Let's see. And this is the hexadecimal format for this particular string. So this is it from buffer. Now next we will discuss about the next API in Node.js. Hello everyone. In this module we will discuss about the next API from Node.js, which is known as stream. While working with buffer, we discussed something about stream, right? So buffer is something which will be used to work with stream of data. So let's see how to create a stream and then how to use it. A stream is a mechanism to transfer data between 2 points, as we already know. If you are an Angular developer, you may have worked with observables, which also gives you a stream of data. If I have to define a stream in very generic word, I can use an example of any streaming services, online streaming services like Netflix, or it can be Amazon Prime. They provide you online streaming services where you can actually get the data whenever you want to, on demand. So this is something which for which we have an API in Node.js. Streams are very useful when we have large data files. Just for an example, when you watch a movie on Netflix or Amazon Prime, you don't have to wait to get the entire movie downloaded. You can just watch the movie as per your bandwidth, whatever movie is downloaded, it will be played. You don't have to wait till the entire movie. So what we mean by streams is streams send data in chunks, which is nothing but the buffer, and destination side chunks data you can read as buffer or as a string, or it can be anything, or it can be based on your R encoding settings, that what kind of data we are receiving. So this is just an example which is extending the earlier image which we had, where we have file, then we are sending some chunks, then there is a buffer, and then data is sent to the destination and it is processed. At the destination, it can be a file as whole, it can be a movie, it can be an image, it can be anything. Why streams are important? Streams are faster than normal data transfer techniques. For example, if I want to transfer entire file, I have to wait till the entire file is actually loaded or available on my client machine. But if I am using streams, I can show the progress to the current user, that how much data has been loaded and how much data still needs to be loaded from the source. All streams are actually instance of event emitter class, and there are few examples of streams: HTTP, TCP request and response. They are actually nothing but readable and writable streams. Reading and writing file is one of the example, and compressing and decompressing files is again an example of streams. There are several types of streams which are available, and we will see an example of. So the first type of stream which is available is readable stream, from where we can read. It is only used for read operation. Then there is another called write streams, writable streams, where we can actually perform write operation. We also have duplex. In duplex we can perform both read and write operation, and it will both will have separate internal buffer. We don't have to worry about the buffer. And then we also have something known as transform, where we can use the pipe operator to transform the data before we complete our write operation. So let's see an example which we have written. We'll see two examples where we are using readable and writable stream using duplex. We are using stream.duplex to read data from one file and write data to another file. So we have this text1.txt. I'll remove this text2.txt as of now, because this will be created once we run our code. In text1.txt I have just written this is a stream demo. So let's run this example and then we'll see what is happening. Okay, so here we are creating a readable stream from this particular file, which is text.txt. Okay, and it will be loaded into the internal buffer, as we discussed, right? So whenever you create a object using create read stream, what we get is a read stream, nothing but as a buffer. And once it is loaded, we are creating another writable stream using fs.create write stream. We are creating a new file, text2.txt, and as soon as we get the data, we are actually writing the data to the writable stream, which is nothing but this text.txt, and this is what is happening right now. Next, we will take an example of transform. So this stream2.js is something where we will see that example. What we are doing is, again, we are we are using the stream object, and then we are using file system object. We are creating we are using stream.transform method. Then we created an uppercase object using new transform method, and then we said, okay, decode string will be false right now. In upper case, we have internal method call _transform, where we are passing chunk, encoding and callback as 3 parameters, and we are just converting the chunk to uppercase, and then we are just again calling or giving passing the callback object. Here again we are creating a readable stream where we are passing encoding as UTF-8, then we are passing target, which is nothing but text1.txt. so we'll create another file in this case, and then we are using the pipe method, which will first call this uppercase object, and then it will pass the target, which is text1.txt. so the entire object, this file, will be first transformed to the uppercase, and then it will be written into the target, which is text1.txt. so let's run this, and a new file is created, text1.txt. now you can see the entire object or entire string is actually converted to uppercase. So this is how you can also utilize the transform mechanism to transform your data while you are writing it. This is it from Stream. Now we'll move to the next API from Node.js. In this video, we will discuss about the next API, which is events. Node.js core APIs are actually based on async event-driven architecture. So if you are wondering which APIs or which events we are talking about, while using HTTP, you have request, response, on. There are many events which are exposed, and you can actually access or get the value whenever those events are emitted internally. Here, event module is used for event handling. So event module will expose as an event emitter class, which will be used to create events, and then we can subscribe to those events. Events works on publish subscribe pattern. So until and unless we emit something and there is an listener to listen to those events which are emitted, there will be no communication. Events acts on the result as they arrive. So whenever there is any value which is emitted and there is a listener which is accepting those values, then there will be a result. Sometimes event result into partial results before throwing error. So in case your listener gets some error in between, it may give you a partial result, and you have to actually go ahead and give a callback function to access or handle the errors. So let's see how event emitter works. Event emitters are objects that generate events. So there is a class as discussed. All objects that emit events are instance of event emitter class. So internally, if you access any events, for example, as we discussed about HTTP, where we have many events, for example, on, connect, and there are a few more. Those are nothing but the instance of event emitter class. Event emitters are based on publish and subscribe pattern. So we have to actually emit something, and then there is an event which will be registered by using emitter.on. Emitter is the object of event emitter. So this is how it works. So let's see, there are a few methods to work with event. We have created some sample code. So let's go through that code. So there are a few basic methods which we'll go through. The first one is of course the event emitter. So what we have done is, by using event, we took the event emitter and then we created a new event emitter by using new keyword. Then using event emitter object, which is send data .on, we actually attached a listener. So whoever emits the data to this particular event, the event name is add, will get some result. So in this case, we are adding two numbers. So let's go ahead and run this quickly and see event.js, and you can see we are getting 15 and 25. So the number of times we emit, this particular method will get or capture the events and it will give us the result. The next method which is available is emitter.once. It is really useful in case we want to listen to any event only once. After that, if anyone gives or emits any data with the same event ID or same event name, then we won't listen to those events. So here what we have done is same event emitter object. Then we are using the .once method to register or to attach a listener to this event. Then we are emitting the data twice. Let's see what we get here. So you can see it is giving us the data only once. This particular event is being handled and this particular event is being ignored because we are saying we just want to listen only once. The next methods which we have is known as listeners and remove all listeners. So let's go through these two methods and see what happens. So here we have attached two listeners for the same event. So add, and we are of course taking other parameter in case of both of the methods or both the events. Then we are trying to access, or we are just doing a console.log to give us the all listeners which is using this event. and then we are just emitting the data, and then we are removing all listeners, and we are again just doing a console.log to see how many listeners we have active. So I'll run this node listener.js, and you can see after these two events are registered, we got the number of listeners on this particular event. We got two methods. So we have add and listener2. Then we emitted an event 5,10, and both the events actually got triggered. Here we are getting 5 plus 10, 15, and here we are just printing the data. So both these listeners actually got this data which is emitted here. Then we said, okay, go ahead and remove all the listeners, and after that there is no one who is listening to this data. Even let's try to call here with another parameter, and we'll do that. You can see after this line number 19, we are even though we are emitting the data, we are not able to there is no listener or active listeners who is listening to this. So this is how event emitter work internally, even though the internal APIs are actually using the same event emitter class. So this is it from events. Next we will move on and we'll discuss about the next API, which is file system. In this video we will discuss about the file system API provided by Node.js. Remember, whenever we have to work with files and directories, we need file system, access to the file system. If you have worked with .NET or Java, they do have file system APIs available. So we can actually modify the file, or we can create directories or modify the files and delete directories. Those functionalities are provided by the built-in file API. Similarly, for Node.js, we have file system API, which is known as FS. There are whenever we are using file system APIs, they expose two types of methods. One is synchronous methods and another one is asynchronous methods. The synchronous functions have a sync with their name, and they return value directly, and they don't block the IO. The synchronous function have sync function in their name, and they block the IO for time being. Asynchronous function will not block the IO, so you can go ahead and execute the next code. The asynchronous functions which are available will have callback as second parameter, or maybe the last parameter which is available. There are few functions, built-in functions, which are available. We will see those functions, and we'll see one example as well. The first function which is available is fs.open, which is used to verify, or you can just open a file and it will give you an exception in case the file does not exist, and in case the file exists, it will give you the file descriptor as second argument. Now the file descriptor argument can be used to read or write a file, or even to get the information about file. So let's see an example of fs.open. So this is the code. This is the sample code. So here we are using fs.open. The open is the function. Then we are opening the file. Right now the file.txt does not exist, so it should throw us an error. In case the file exists, it will just give us the file descriptor as the second parameter, and we are just calling the close method on the same file. So let's see what happens once we run this code. We should get an exception. Note. And we do have an exception because the file which we have provided does not exist. So it says, okay, cannot open or no such file or directory, file.txt. Let's create a file.txt method and run this again, and it is successful. So this is how you can use fs.open in case you want to verify if a file is available or not by opening it. So this is the first method. Then we have few other methods as well. fs.close, which we used as the internal method for our fs.open function. You can see the fs.close is called, and the file descriptor which was provided as an response from the fs.open is used here to close the same file. Then we do have fs.rename, which is used to rename the files in case we have older file and we want to replace or rename it to a new file. So let's go ahead and run this code to rename the existing file, and we'll keep this open. And now we have the message that file is renamed, and you can see there is no file.txt, but there is a new file created which is file1.txt. So older file.txt is now renamed. The next function which we'll discuss about is fs.unlink. This function is known as unlink, but it doesn't unlink something. It actually deletes a file which is provided as a path, which is the first parameter. So let's go ahead and see an example of this. So in fs.unlink, you can provide the file name and it gives you a callback, an error callback in case it is not able to delete a file. Let's run this, and now we got another exception that okay, file.txt does not exist because we were trying to open it and we were also trying to rename it. So let me just run this code again. Let's create file.txt first. So we'll see a file will be created, then it will be renamed, and file will be read, then it will be renamed, and then at the end it will be removed. Okay, so file renamed and file deleted. So both operation got successful, and we can comment this code. The next function which we'll discuss about is known as fs.truncate. Truncate is used to truncate the file length, and you can pass the same path parameter and the length parameter and a callback. So we are not seeing any example here. We will just move on and see the next example, which is the next example is again the next function, which is again is to change the ownership. We need UID and GID. Unfortunately, we don't have any UID GID available on my machine, but in case you are doing it on any server where you have multiple user IDs and group IDs, you can pass those parameters, pass those values as a parameter, and the ownership of the file will be changed. Next file functions are first one is the permission. So I can go ahead and change the permission. So we'll use chmod to change the permission of a file, where we can use. So here we are changing the file permission file2.txt to read only. So this 2 is read only. Let's go ahead and try to write something and save. And now we got an exception. It says okay, failed to save file.txt, the file is read only. So we cannot do this. We'll comment, and we'll move to next function, which is stat, which gives us the attribute for a file, and we'll comment, and we'll get some parameters, which is the which has your buffer size, which has your time when file was created, when it was modified last time. Everything is available here. Even your group ID, GID, which we discussed about to change the ownership of a file, that is also available here. The next method is read. It is used to read a file byte by byte. So remember, we will not get the entire response in a single read, but on a multiple read. Now to see the code, let's go one by one what is happening here. First, we are trying to open the file. So I have created a new file, file3.txt, and there is some content. This is sample text. Now I have given first parameter to open this file. Then we are calling fs.stat to get the size which is required as one of the parameter while reading the data. So here we are passing the second parameter as the permission level, and then we are reading we are taking the buffer size using stats.size, which will give us the buffer, total buffer. And then in fs.read we are passing the file descriptor, Second is your buffer. Then we are passing length size. This is another parameter. We can just hover above and see what is this. So we have this offset. So this is offset. We want to start from 0, and this is the length of entire buffer, and this is null. And then we are passing a callback function where we are saying errors, bytes read, and buffer. And I'm just converting the same data to just log it on console. Let's go ahead and see this. And this is sample text which we actually read from the file 3.txt. The next function is read file, which is much easier. We don't have to write this much of code to read a file. Here we can just pass the file name in read file. So we are passing file 3.txt, and then we are in response we are getting the entire data as a buffer, and then we are converting this buffer to UTF-8 characters, and then we are just doing a console.log. The difference here, we will be getting the entire data at once. So let's see, and this is sample text. So this is about read file and what are the different parameters. We'll in next video we will discuss about, or we will see the functions which is responsible to write a file, and then at the end we will see few functions which will be available on to work with directories. In this video we will discuss about few functions which are available on file system to work with files, to write the data, as well as we can modify the data which is available in the file. So the first function which we'll discuss about is write file. So write file function takes first parameter as file name. So I've created a new file, file4.txt, which is empty. We don't have any data available here. And then next parameter is data, which is the data which we want to write into this file, which can be a buffer, which can be a string as well. So if I hover above this particular function, you can see the data can be type of any. In this case, I have created a data from buffer. So if you remember, in one of the videos we discussed about buffer, where we saw the different ways to create the buffer. Here we have used from function by passing a string, and we are creating the data, and then we are getting a callback in case something fails, and then we are just doing a console.log that data is written. So let's run this file, and you can see the data is written, but let's verify. Let's open the file 4.txt, and this is write file demo. This is done. You can also pass the data directly here, rather than this is text data. So we can also pass a string value here, and if you run this, let's open file 4.txt, and this is text data. So it's up to us how we want to pass this particular value. For next example, or the next function which we are going to discuss about is append file. It appends the data at the end of the file. So this is what it does. So we have to make sure that okay, this file exists. Then file4.txt, which is the first parameter, and then the next parameter is of course your data, which can be type of any. Either I can go ahead and use buffer, or I can pass the string value. Here I'm just passing append new data, and then it is providing us a callback which will throw us an error in case we have any. And now it says data added to existing file. Let's verify it, and this is how it is done. So to modify or add the content to any existing file, you can go ahead and use append file function. The last function which we are going to discuss about is create write stream, where we have first parameter as path, and let's see how it works. So here we have created a new file, and I have a sample text here which says this is writable stream, which I will remove because we want to write this to file. And once this is done, if I move to file 5, you'll see okay, this data is written. You can also use subscribe to any events like on and close these are different events which are available, and we can see what is happening in case a file is closed, or if you want to perform any operation after a file is closed or is getting closed. Even if the end, or you can see the write file is ending, you can also subscribe to that event. So this is similar to event emitter. If you remember, our event emitter used where we said any kind of event is actually something which is implemented by event emitter. So write file is also implementing the event emitter, so I can go ahead and subscribe to those events. So this is it from the write part. Next we will see some functions which we can use for directories. In this video we will see how we can use readable stream, and there are few functions which we can perform on directories. So let's see first create read stream method, which is the opposite of write create write stream. So let's see the code. So here we created a read stream from file 5.txt. Just comment this code as of now. So here we are creating a readable stream. So as discussed in create write stream, it exposes multiple events. Here also we are actually subscribing to an event called data. The data event will give us the access to the file contents, and which we can go ahead and print as soon as we get the data. You can also subscribe to file.on error event, and if you get any errors, you can just perform some operation in case there is an error which is emitted while creating this readable stream. So let's run this file, and right now we are getting this is readable stream which is coming from this file 5.txt, as this file exists. In case we have any errors, this particular events will be emitted. We have few functions which are available for directories. The first one is read dir, which is used to read the directory, the contents of directory. It gives us the list of files which are available as part of the directory. To give the current directory to read, we can pass the dot as the dot as parameter, which will take the current directory, and you can see all the files which are available, file 2, file 3, file 4, and the JS files are given as output. So error, it gives a call, in callback it gives us two values, error and files, the files of under this particular directory. The next method which we have available is to make a directory. So here I have written a small code to create a directory called test. The next method which is available is to create a directory. So here in this code we have written a code to create a directory called test. So let's run this method, and you can see this is a readable stream and this directory is created. All these methods are synchronous, so it doesn't guarantee you the sequence. Right now directory is created, and you can see there is a directory called test. Similarly, there is another function to remove a directory in case we want to, which is known as rmdir. We'll comment this to method, and we'll just execute remove directory to see what happens, and it says this is directory is deleted, and you can see the test directory which we created earlier using mkdir is removed from the system. So these are all the methods which are the helper methods which are available as part of file system APIs. Next we will discuss about path. In this video we will discuss about our next API and the last API, which is known as path. So path API is used to work with the path, which can be used to normalize the path, join the path, or resolve the path. It also helps us to find the relative path or extract a component from a path. For example, it can be extension, or it can be the directory name. So those are the components which we are talking about. Path module can be used to simply manipulate string. So remember, path module actually doesn't work or validate if a file or directory exists. It will just normalize the file name, file path, and it will give you the data. which will be a string value. So there are few functions which are available with path module or path API. So let's go ahead and see them one by one. The first function which we are going to speak about is normalize. So what it does, let's see it in action. So there may be possibility that our file name or the file path contains some invalid characters. For example, it has multiple not backticks, backslashes right now. And if we run this code by using path.normalize, it will remove those backslashes. This is what path.normalize does. The next function is path.join. So in case we want to create an entire file path by using multiple values, you can go ahead and do that using path.join. So here we are passing abc, which can be my directory name, and text1.txt, which is my file name. So let's run this again, and you can see /abc /text1.txt, which is the entire path. But remember one thing, it is not validating if this particular path exists. That is the functionality which is provided by the file system module. The next function which is available is directory name. So it will just simply return the directory name of a path. So here if you run the command, run this code, path.directory name, so of course abc should be written, which is the directory name for this particular file or for this particular path. So it returns abc. Next is base name. So it will manipulate the file and it will give us the base name for this particular file. Let's run this, and it should return text1.txt, which is the base name. Next one is the extension. In case I want to just get the extension of a file, we can use .ext name, and this code should return .txt, which is the extension name. And the last one is resolve. So it will try to resolve the list of path to absolute path. Now what we mean by absolute path? So my absolute path starts from, for example, so here I have kept entire code in D directory. So my absolute path should start from D. So let's see if we do the same. So what is the output? So we can see D:/abc/text1.txt. So it will try to resolve it to an absolute path where it will consider the base directory or root directory. Then we can pass actually this entire path to a read stream or writable stream to read or write the data. So this is it from the path module, and this is it from the fundamental course. Next, we'll come up with new courses on Node.js, where we can create APIs using Express.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please do share with your friends and the colleague, and also do subscribe to Scholarhat YouTube channel and click the bell icon so that the information about such video you will get automatically.